4-7 Field Sanitation Prevention Medicine Fieldcraft. A. The personal protection items. Every soldier should be issued and maintain a supply of personal protection items that they are training in while are deployed. These items include lip balm protection from the cracking, chapping, and during the war. Other extremities, cold heat, and sustained wind conditions. Inspecting insect repellent personal DEET containing are the only repellents recommended for the Army and the soldiers in the garrison and in the field. And apply insect repellent every 8 hours, more frequently if a soldier performing activities that result in sweating and allows repellent to wash off during the waterborne operations. These repellents protect the soldiers from the insects, mosquitoes, sandflies, field flies, and the arthropods, such as ticks and fleas, and from the spiders. All these bugs can transmit disease, and the soldiers then can make the combat effective. Only the soldier becomes illness. Doctors must treat the illness with special medications. If and treated, and some of these diseases can result in death. Hand sanitizing gels is an acceptable substitute. Soldiers can clean them with the hands in soap and water and unavailable and impractical. These gels are over 99% effective in killing germs, bacteria, viruses that cause respiratory illnesses, sinus infections, sore throats, pneumonia, gastroenteritis, diseases, vomiting, diarrhea, and dysentery. Most of the illnesses can be rendered from a soldier combat effective if serious as a result of hospitalization. Sunscreen lotion protects the soldier in sun's ultraviolet rays and sunburn, dehydration, skin cancer. Using the lotions on sun-exposed body parts when the soldier spends more than 15 minutes of time in sunlight, especially in the desert and high mountains. When complete the Army combat uniform, the desert combat uniform is worn only with hands, wrists, neck, face, and ear are required protection. The foot powder is designed to keep the feet dry from the soldier spending significant amounts of time training outdoors. The powders are also help to prevent foot fungus, athlete's foot blisters when used properly. Important to the preventing medicine measures. Historically, only 20% of all hospital admissions result from U.S. military conflict wherein combat injuries. The other 80% of the disease non-battle injuries. These statistics point to the importance of the following the standard field hygiene measures. As a soldier, you are going to be asked to train, fight in some of the harshest conditions imaginable. You must perform the duties in the heat and the cold. Environmental can be your enemy and can take the fight. You can take you out of the fight just as fast as an enemy can. As a soldier, you must know how to treat your injuries. More than important, though, you must be able to prevent them. 8. The preventive medicine measures. They are simple common sense actions the soldier can perform and protect against the cold weather conditions, heat injury, insect-borne diseases, intestinal disorders, or it's known as diarrhea, or dysentery, or hearing loss. 9. Each individual responsibility to maintain the good health and use preventive medicine measured to reduce the time lost due to disease and non-battle injuries. Reasons for the soldier vulnerability: harshness of the environment. Harshness of the environment as part of military operations. Soldiers may be prepared and fight in the desert, jungles, and the Arctic. Natural immune defense are reduced to exposure fatigue. Other immune defense mechanisms operate efficiently to protect us against disease and climatic injuries, or depending on your overall well-being. 1. Placed in a high-stress situation such as climate change, sleep deprivation, irregular meals, you may become susceptible to injury of combat stress. Breaking down in basic sanitation while garrison, clean water and proper water disposals are rarely subject of interest concern to the most soldiers. While the feeling, especially when the mission is oriented protection posture, MOP. P. Gear this change. Even on the most common takes, the change of socks, using latrines, washing your hands, challenges the daily concerns. The basic personal hygiene practice ignored and forgotten. The soldier may become ill, unable to help their unit accomplish its mission. Operating the hot weather, psychological effects of the heat exposure included the heat load. Exposure to the high environmental temperatures preceded the heat stress in the body. As the body attempts to compensate the psychological strains, it results. The strain usually combinations with the other strains caused by the work, dehydration, fatigue, and may lead to heat and injury. Environmental Conditions influence the equilibrium body and the psychological adjustment, including air temperature, the temperature surrounding objects, vapor pressure of the water, and the humidity and air movement. The heat relief, the body rids itself of the heat normally. The skin exhale by exhaled breath. Some of the heat is discharged radiation from the skin, but the body relies on the evaporation of sweat to keep the skin to cool. The adversely impact of the high environmental temperature, the humidity can be reduced by drinking enough water, wearing clothing properly, maintaining high level fitness, resting after exposure to heat. These measures contribute to the body normal mechanisms relieving its heat load. C, to protect the injury against heat injury. Drink a sufficient amount of water. Your body needs a minimum amount of water. Clothing, waste elimination, metabolism. Drinking water frequently as you accumulatize to the heat. Your requirement for the water actually increases. In an attempt for the train of the body to use less water can harmfully lead to heat injuries. Drinking small quantities of hot water frequently and better not rely on the thirst to remind you of the drinking water. Individuals' hot climate seldom feel the thirst enough to make all water lost. Drinking extra water before the attack mission, excess water in the systems will be kept physical, strong, mental sharpness, and tactical situations allowed to drink again. Maintain excess water and symptom strength and alternatives to protect yourself with dehydration, heat injuries associated with wearing full chemical protective gear. Drink more water. Work and rest as the reader directs. Remember the heat injuries and preventing the drinking plenty of the water. Hot climates depend upon sweating and to keep it cool. Therefore, water intake maintained to allow the sweating to occur. Depending on the type of work type, ensure that you should drink 1.5 to 1.5 of waters every hour. If your urine is too dark or yellow, you're not drinking enough water. Caution: the hourly fluid should intake not exceed 1.25 quart water daily. Should quart hourly. Daily fluid intake should not exceed 12 quarts. Rest whenever possible. Rest with breaks body a chance to cool the water. While it is important to rest whenever the tactical situation permits. You rest to drink the water off and cool off. Work rest to the shade if possible. Take a cool shower. Your body builds up heat when you are working in a hot environment. Taking a cool shower, you can help your body to release the heat and cool down. You reduce the risk amount of the big casualty. The next time you are exposed to heat, the heat meals do not take supplements. Heating, sweating, it will cause salt loss of the body. Eating meals replaces salt. Eat regular meals daily to replace salt through heavy sweating. Avoid excess intake of salt. Military rations contain the salts needed. Avoid the salt tablets to prevent the measures. Take a solution when only directed by the medical personnel. Do not take herbal type of medicine, performance enhancing drugs, dietary supplements, especially ephedrol contained by mahang. This increases your risk of heat injury. Protect your skin exposure by wearing the uniform properly. Use shade whenever possible. Use sunscreen, lotions, or sun exposed by the skin areas. Heat injuries, heat cramps are caused by imbalance of chemicals caused by electrolytes in the body as a result in the excessive sweating. Signs of symptoms: cramping extremities, arms, legs, abdominal strap, stomach cramps, excessive sweating. Note the thirst may not occur. Cramping can occur without soldier being thirsty. First aid of the measures: the monitoring, mentor, and asking the simple questions such as "What is the day? What is the present measure?" Move the casualty to cool, shady area. Improvise shade if none is available. Losing in the clothing and boots. If not, a chemical environmental. In the chemical environmental, transportate the heat to the contaminated areas such as emission permits. Having him or her slowly drink at least 1 canteen of full water. The body absorbs cool water faster than warm air. Cold water, therefore cooler, is preferred and is available. See medical assistance for shed cramps. Continue check the casualty signs and symptoms for heat exhaustion. And the heat exhaustion is caused by a loss of body fluids, dehydration, and the sweating without adequate fluid replacement. And it can occur otherwise fit an individual who is involved in physical exertion in any hot environment, especially the soldier, is not accumulated to the environment. Signs, symptoms: excessive sweating with pale, moist skin, headache, weakness, dizziness, lightheadedness, loss of appetite, cramping, nausea, with or without vomiting, urge to defecate, chills, goose flesh, rapid breathing, tingling of the hands or feet, cushion, no answering any of the question properly, such as the name, sergeant the day of the week. First aid measures: monitor his mental status, asking some sampling simple questions, move the casualty to the cold, shady area, improvise shade for the runs available. Loosen and remove his or her clothing, boots, unless the chemical environment. Pour the water on him and the fan. Use the ice sheets if available. Have the slow drinking at least one canteen of water. Elevate legs. Monitor the casualty systems as gone by the medical assistant arrives. The casualty for signing symptoms of the head heat stroke. Heat stroke is a medical emergency that results in death can occur if delayed. Heat strokes are caused by soldiers that have been exposed to high temperatures such as direct sunlight or stress, by protective or over garments which cause body temperature to rise. Heat exertion without proper hydration can also cause heat stroke. Higher levels of humidity added to the high heat exposure decrease the time required to the stroke. Heat strokes can be caused by failure to bodily cooling mechanisms, which is increased by the decrease of the body ability to produce sweat. Signs, symptoms of casualty is skin red, flesh red, hot, dry. They experience experiences weakness, dizziness, lightheadedness, confusion, headaches, seizures, nausea, stomach pains or cramps. His restraints pulse may be rapid or weak. Unconscious collapse may cause suddenly. First aid measures cool cause casualty immediately by monitoring mental status by asking simple questions. Move him to cool, shady area and providing shade if none is available. Removing clothing belts except for chemical environmental. Spraying pour water on him, fan him to permit the cooling effect of the evaporation. Massage extremity, skin, increase the blood flow to the body areas, aided the cooling process. Evaluate his legs, having the slow drink at least one canteen of full water. If conscious, apply ice sheets if available. Start cooling the casualty immediately. Continue cooling while awaiting transportation during the transportation of medical treatment facility. Medical assistance. Seeking medical assistance because of the casualty should be transported to an aided station hospital or as soon as possible. Do not interpret or cooling process or leaving life measures to the seeking help. Someone else presents to send him help. The casualty should continue to monitor to develop the conditions that may require the performance necessary for basic life-saving measures. Operating in cold weather. Psychological effects. Cold exposure. The body loses the heat of the radiation and outside the temperature is lowered. The body's temperature. And loose heat. The evaporating clothing and the sweating, which is useful in hot weather, problematic in cold weather, especially as sweat trapped in the clothing diminishes insulating the value of clothing. Touching the cold objects can cause the condition such as losing heating from your hands of the metal pole. If items breezy outside, you can lose the heat of the convention. Cool air blowing across the skin of the resilient heat loss. Protect against the cold injury. Exercise increase blood circulation. Exercise body parts increase the blood circulation. Help you detect numbness. Tightening relax your arms and legs. Tightening relax your fingers and toes. Use your hands and massage warm the face. Normal response to cold. The blood vessels, skin, remote the extremities to confirm the conserve warm-blooded vital organs. This may mistake the heat. Hands and his face, his ears more susceptible to cold injury. Moving large muscles groups through exercise can help shift blood from central blood to the periphery. Wear layers of loose clothing. Avoid tight-fitting clothing, including underwear. Dressing lightly to possible consistent with the weather, preventing sweating and the sequent chilling. Minimize sweating when clothing becomes wet or dirty. It loses ability to provide warmth. Remove layers of clothing doing strenuous work or when working in the heated areas to help to prevent the overheating that causes sweating. Replace the layers of clothing with strenuous work is completed. Wet or dirty clothing adds to the cold injury process. Changes in clean, dry clothing as soon as possible. Laundry cleaning regularly. Change socks to protect the feet of the cold environment. Put on dry socks when they rest. During rest breaks, situation pertaining to reduce the risk of frostbite and trench foot. Keep socks clean, dry, damp socks. Place them inside your shirt. Frostbite, trench can result in loss of amputation of the hands and feet. Immerse the foot and trench the foot may result in the exposure to the heat from the wet conditions. Temperature approximately 50 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and inactive to damp. Wet sock boots, tightening lace boots impair circulation even more. Susceptible injuries. Ideal soldier should keep at least 5 pairs of the boot socks when in field. Prevent dehydration in cold weather, practicing the following. Continue drinking water such as potable water, juice, warm, non-alcoholic beverage. The amount of additional liquids consumed but depends upon the individual type of work done. Drinking sufficient amounts of fluid in the cold water isn't important as in the hot water. In cold water, you may not realize your body is losing fluids and salt. Sweat evaporates, rapidly absorbed and completely in the layers of clothing and seldom visible in the skin. Rest when possible is important. A preventive measure. Individual must realize when work is done in the bundle several layers of clothing is extremely heat exhausting. Layers determining approximately work, rest, and cycle. Watch your body. Remind each other the warming exercises often. Watch for signs of cold injury such as frostbite, trench foot, or hypothermia. Drink such sufficient amount of water. Avoid smoking because smoking decreases blood flow to the skin. Physical, mental fatigue contributes to the apathy, which leads to inactive and personal neglect. Carelessness reduces the heat production in turns that increase the risk of cold injuries. Buddies must help each other stay sharp and prevent injuries. 8. Wear appropriate uniform. The cold uniform. See Table 4.1. The cold weather is especially important to ensure the clothing of the foot wet gear and serviceable fits properly. Your clothing is designed to multiple layers, allow the adjustment of the environmental of the level. To keep warm, remember the word cold. Cleanness and care. Socks and clothing work more effectively when clean when they carry extra parts. This is why you carry extra pairs with you to the field. Avoid overheating. Wearing too much clothing can cause overheating, excessive sweating, which may cause wet and decrease in the insulation, which is instructed when removing clothing. Layers and looseness. Clothing. The loose layers assure the airspace, preventing the heat loss. You will be instructed to air clothing. If you notice in clothing is too tight, and let you drill the sergeant know. Dry. A wet garment is cold garment. This will be instructed to wear your water repellent items such as wet weather and sawmill poncho and appropriate. D. You should wear enough layers to maintain the body temperature, but not sweat. Dampness. The sweat degrades insulation, allows you heat to be lost. For the reason the polyurethane underwear is designed to be worn next to the skin. Gore-Tex outer garments protect the wind, rain, snow, but do not allow adequate evaporation of the sweat, so you should be worn directly. Physical activity to protect the feet. Note, you will carry extra pairs of socks under the field to change and then become wet and dump foot powder on the feet and in your boots. The sock boots are too tight. Notify your drill sergeant. You wash your feet daily and possible when you carry overshoes to the field. You protect them. Boots dry. Protect hands. You will wear gears insert, and it will be necessary to protect them from wind chill and contact cold surfaces. Warm hands under the clothes that may become numb. Avoid skin contact. Snow, fuel, bare metal. Protect face or ears. You will be instructed to wear insulated caps, flaps down, scarves, bifida to cover the face and ears. You will be warned that your face and ears, covering them with your hands. Do not rub your ears. When you are instructed when the sunscreen camouflages in the cold injuries. Chilblain is called by a repeated prolonged exposure to the bare skin temperatures of 60 degrees Fahrenheit to 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Fahrenheit for accumulated dry, unwashed skin. Signs and symptoms: they may actually swollen red tender to the hot, itchy skin. They may not lose the skin tissue and the untreated cause. They may continue exposure to may be infected and ulcerated or bleeding liaisons. First aid measures: within minutes, they usually respond to locally applied body heat of the warm affected part of the applying firmly steady pressure to the hands, placing the affected part under the arms and against the stomach of the body. Do not rub or massage affected areas. Medical personnel should evaluate the injury because the signs and symptoms of tissue damage may slowly to appear. Frostbite is the injury of tissue caused by the exposure to cold, usually below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the wind chill factor, duration, exposure, adequate protection, individual's history. Cold injury are likely to suffer additional cold injury throughout the bodily parts most easily. Frostbite intersect nose, ears, chin, forehead, wrists, hand, and feet. Frostbites may involve the skin and superficial, and it may extend to deep below the skin deep. Deep frostbite is very serious and requires prompt first aid to avoid minimize lost parts of the fingers, toes, and hands and feet. Signs, symptoms, lost sensation, numb of feeling, any part of the body, sudden blanch is a whitening of the skin of the affected part of following into momentary tingling sensation. The red skin is light skinned individuals, gray colors if the dark skinned individual is blisters, swelling, tender areas, lost preventive sensation of the pain, an infective area, pale yellowish and waxy looking skin, frozen tissues, and feels solid wooden or to the touch. Caution, deep frostbite is very serious injury, requires immediate first aid and subsequent medical treatment to avoid minimizing loss of the body parts. Immediate first aid measure face, ear, and nose. Cover the casualty affected with the and your bare hands and sensation cold return. Hands open to the casualty jacket of the shirt and remove the casualty arm from the jacket. In the chemical environment, do not loosen or remove clothing, protective or other garments. Place the affected hands under the casualty's armpits. Close the jacket, shirt, and prevent the additional exposure. Heat, remove the casualty boots and socks. If he does not need to walk any further to receive additional treatment, thawing the casualty, forcing him to walk on them will cause additional pain and injury. Places the affected feet under the clothing against the body of the individual. Ensure the cold injury is kept warm, that he is covered to avoid the further injury. Seek medical treatment as soon as possible. Reassure the casualty to protect the affected area of further injury, covering light blanketing or dry clothing, and seek shelter of the wind. Remove loose constricting clothing except for contaminated environmental, increasing insulation and secure casualty exercises as possible, avoiding trauma injury prepared the pain when thawing occurs. Protect the frostbitten parts of the injured body. Do not rub the injured part of the snow or apply cold water soaks. Do not warm the part of the massage exposure to the open fire, because the frozen parts may be burned due to lack of feeling. Do not use ointments or other salves. Do not manipulate the part of the increase in circulation. Do not use alcohol, tobacco, because they reduce the body's resistance to cold. Remember, the freezing extends the depth of below the skin. It must be much more serious. Each care required to reduce and avoid the chance of losing all parts of the toes or feet. This applies to the fingers and hands. Do not attempt to thaw the casualty's feet or other frozen areas where they are required to walk or travel to the aid of the station hospital treatment. The possibility of additional injury from walking is less frozen feet when they are thawed. If they possibly avoid walking, thawing in the field increases possibility of infection, gangrene, and other injuries. Thawing more occurs spontaneously during the transportation medical treatment facility. This cannot be avoided. Hypothermia, when exposed to the prolonged cold weather, the soldier may both medically and physically numb. This neglection essentially tasks them requiring more time and effort to achieve them. Under some conditions, particularly cold weather immersion, even a soldier is in excellent physical condition may die in a matter of minutes. Hypothermia is destructive. It influences the cold on the body. That means that the body loses heat, and they can be produced. Hypothermia may occur with exposure temperatures either above or below freezing, especially in the immersion of cold water, cold conditions, and from the effect of the wind. General cooling of the entire body at a temperature of not below 95 degrees is caused by continuous exposure to low and rapid dropping temperatures, cold, moisture, snow, and ice. 6. Fatigue, poor physical condition, dehydration, faulty blood circulation, alcohol and other drug use, trauma, poor, inadequate nutrition, immersion increase the risk of hypothermia. Remember that the cold may affect the body system slowly and almost without notice. Soldiers exposed to the low temperatures for extending periods may suffer an infection event and protected clothing. Signs and symptoms. Shivering and attempt of the body to generate heat, pulsing, pain in the very direct, difficult to detect, drowsiness, mental slowness, stiffness, lack of coordination, slurred in speech, moderate glassy eyes, slow share, low breathing, very weak on the absent pulse, increasing stiffness or lack of coordination, unconsciousness, severe frozen extremities, irregular heart action, sudden death. 10. First aid measurements earlier to the caution. Do not expose the casualty to open fire as they may become burned. Provided heat by using heat water bottle canteen filled with hot water wrapped in clothing. Call us then to the help. Move move casualties from a warm place immediately to remove all wet clothing. Place casualty dry clothing on or in a dry clothing and or sleeping bag in severe. B. Severe. Start rescuing breath in it once the casualty breathing has stopped in the irregular shallow. Warm liquids will not help. Not warm liquids not too hot. May gradually, if the casualty is conscious, do not force liquids unconscious on the semi-conscious casualty because they may choke. Transport casualty on a litter. Rewarning a severe hypothermic casualty is extremely dangerous in the field due to the possibility of complications. Rewarming shock disturbance, rhythm of heartbeat. The conditions require treatment of the medical personnel. Caution. The caution is general. The casualty is unable to generate his own body heat. Therefore, the merely placing him in a blanket or sleeping bag is not sufficient. Emergency of foot and trench foot or injuries that result in prolonged exposure to 32 to 50 degree temperatures. Inactive feet and due to damp, wet socks and boots and tightly laced boots will be impair circulation. Even though susceptible to injuries, the injuries can be very serious. It can lead to amputation of the toes and parts of the feet. Exposure to the feet has been prolonged and served the feet as many swell so much pressure closes the body vessels, cuts off the circulation. Should an emergency injury occur to try to thoroughly transport the casualty to medical treatment facility, the fastest means of the possible signs and symptoms as first the parts of the affected foot are cold and painless, pulses, weakness, numbness, and may be present next to the parts of the may feel hot and burning, shooting pains, and beginning in later stages skin may pale, blush, cast, and pulse decrease. Other signs and symptoms that may follow: blistering, swelling, redness, the heat, hemorrhaging, excessive bleeding, and gangrene. First aid measures that are required at all stages: immersion of injury. Warming in the injured part of the gradually exposing to warm air, protecting the part of the trauma, secondary infections, dry, loose clothing, and several layers of warm clothing, and preferable to the extreme heat. Under no circumstances expose the injured part to the open fire. Evaluate injured part of the revealing swelling. Transport the casualty to the medical treatment facility as soon as possible. When the part is rewarmed, the casualty often feels burning sensation and pain. The symptoms may persist for days and weeks after the rewarming. When providing the first aid, immersion foot and trench foot, do not massage the foot. Massage the injured part. Do not moisten the skin. Do not apply heat or ice. Prevent measures against arthropods, infections of the mosquitoes, ticks, and lice, poisonous reptiles and plants. Avoid injury. To avoid insects and insects-related diseases. Keep sleeves down and trousers, legs tucked in boots, and protect them from biting insects. Apply the insect repellent to exposed skin, your ankles, and your waistline. Apply insect repellent to the uniform, if not treated with perithrium. Check yourself at the body for ticks twice a day to avoid injury, poisonous reptiles, plants. Look inside the sleeping bag before you getting in. Do not play with snakes. To keep sleeves down and trousers tucked into the boots. Protect the poisonous plants. Look inside before putting them on. Proper use of repellent. DOD arthropod repellent system consists of dithramald D on the skin. The perithrium of the uniform plus the wear of the uniform, the combination of the soldier's total protection for the insects that may cause transmit diseases. Extended duration arthropod repellent. The skin location of DEET lotion is preparation that can be caused on the skin. Repellent should be applied to the exposed areas of the skin according to the face, ears, necks, arms, and hands. Caution: repellent will not be applied to the eyes, lips, or sensitive skin. Applying the DEET repellent skin location 2 inches the edge of the Army combat uniform to exclude the wrist, ankle, and waistline. The ankles to prevent the insects to keep preventing the uniform and between the uniform and boots. Blouses the uniform inside the boots to hinder the insects and getting inside the clothing. Keep the repellent skin lotion away from the flame, excessive heat, and always keep wipe hands after application. Repeat application repellent on the skin location every 6 hours during the strenuous activity. Soon after the activity, such as strand, even crossing the wash away the repellent. Read the label of the insect repellent or the directions precaution for use. Wearing aftershave lotion or cologne for the field attraction. Bites, the stinging insects. Do not use these items during the field of operation. If the uniform has not been treated for the perithrium prior to the issue, that they may be required to apply the perithrium clothing repellent using the individual dynamic absorption kit most effective for the aerosol treatments following the directions on the product label. Use only on the fabric. Treat outside of the Army combat uniform, insect head net, and mosquito bed net. Treat all the areas of uniform. Dry clothing, Army combat uniform there prior to the wearing. Following the precautions do not apply to the skin. Do not treat the Army combat uniforms will be worn. Do not treat underwear inside a cap. Avoid breathing vapors. Wear a uniform properly. Tuck pant legs into the boots. Roll sleeves down. Close collar. Wear uniform closely. Wear uniform loosely. Check for clothing. Frequently use the body system to check areas of the body not easily seen during the self-examination. Malaria pills. Take malaria pills to protect against the malaria parasites transmitted in the infectious mosquitoes. Take these pills as directed by the commander. Clean and inspect yourself and your clothing. Cleaning and the inspection of your body to protect against arthropod includes the following: wash yourself daily in tactical situation permits. Pay particular attention to the groin, armpits. Use body system to check each other for the ticks and other arthropods. Use the ticks and found attached to seek medical attention. Use insecticide, powder, cream, shampoos, prescribed medical personnel proper to the uniform will reduce the incident of bites. The following points are helpful in protecting your body: wear headgear to protect the top of your head. Wear the loose-fitting uniform, not tightly tailored. Repair any of the tears and holes. Use arthropod threats as hides and following the measures of protection. Blouse and the pants of the boots, complete in the lace of the boots. Tuck the undershirt and the waist. Wear sleeves down, bottom of the blouse and shirts are next on the wrist ties. Clean and inspect the clothing. Cleaning and inspecting the uniform provides protection against the inspect. Washing the uniform to remove the arthropod eggs, and if this situation permits, the unavailable military laundry service, quartermaster laundry. The laundry service is not available. Scrub the uniform with soap and water. Clothing seems to may contain lice, eggs will hatch, and after a few days. Use a bed within sleeping and available in tactical situation. Protecting yourself from arthropod bites at night includes the use of bed net and using bed net and use of insect spray inside the bed net and suspended the bed net above the sleeping area, trucking the edge of the bed net under the sleeping bag and under the bag. Treated of the bed, perfume, clothing, repellent, spray the interior space with a Depriol aerosol spray insecticide. Keep the beds in good repair and mend any holes in order to proceeding the measures to effect. Observing the following precautions when preparing the bed night, avoiding breathing vapors. Do not use perfume, clothing repellent, Depriol aerosol sprays insecticide on the skin. Obtain food and water and improve sources of bacteria and intestinal diseases. Spread is usually through the contact of infectious organisms that contaminate properly infected water supplies as well as human waste. Our hands are exposed to many sources of bacteria such as latrine doors, friends' hands, noses. Our noses are weapons, and many others. Fight preventable illnesses to keep the getting skin from illnesses carried out. Contaminated food, water. Drink water from the approved sources only. Eat from approved sources only. Obtain ice from only from medical approved sources. Do not buy food or drink ice from civil vendors unless approved by medical personnel. When eating at local establishment, eat only hot cooked food. When eating food obtained by the approved vendors, eat only the foods that can cook and raw foods that can be washed or peeled. Inspect all cans, food packets prior to the use. Discard cans, leaks, or bulges. Discard food packets with visible holes or obvious signs of deterioration. Do not eat foods, drink beverages that are prepared in a galvanized container, since they could also be zinc poisoned. Obtain the dining facilities when possible. Dining facilities are the best source of safe food. The washing your hands for at least 30 seconds to prevent the disease. After using the latrine, before attaching each utensil or food, after eating. Street vendors is deploying environmental normally not approved for the food sources since they are not inspected by the U.S. military. Preventive medicine, veterinary personnel. The food consumed from the street vendors may cause severe illness from the U.S. troop of the foods sold by the food vendors may be contaminated in night soil, fertilized human waste commonly in the countries and improperly prepared or cooked. Purify your drink if they are not approved by sources of drinking water. Fill your canteen with the cleanest of the water available. Add iodine tablets. Add 2 tablets of 1 quart of canteen water. Double the amount of tables for the 2 canteen water is used. Replace the cap. Wait 5 minutes of the tablets to dissolve. Shake the canteen to mix the contents. Tip the canteen into the disinfectant cap threads. Loosen Loosen the cap, tighten the canteen over all leakages around the canteen threads. Turn the canteen right side up, tighten the cap. Wait 30 additional minutes before drinking. There are alternate methods of purifying water, such as chlorine, ampules, and tincture of iodine, common household bleach, and none of the purifying agencies is available. Boiling water for 5 to 10 minutes, preventing skin and infections. Hand washing regularly, the best defense against germs in the soil. Above a form of objects handled by hand by other people. Most important times to wash your hands after using the latrine, both touching and eating utensils with the food. After eating, after handling items, the potential transfer germs. Frequently during the work to the day, to keep your hands free of germs, clean your hands with the hand sanitizing gel is an effective way to disinfect nearly all germs that can cause illnesses. Hand sanitizing gels do not generally destroy germs. Then soap and water. You must use soap and water to remove grime, and use grease-cutting solvents to remove grease. You should use soap and water to wash your face and bathe the rest of your body. While the field deployed and during the convoy operations, you will not also have the ready to access a rucksack. Carry these items with you at all times: bar of soap, washcloth, baby wipes, toilet paper, baby wipes, toothbrush, paste, shampoo, hand sanitizing gel. You can also use washing to wash your skin with soapy water. Bring it out. Use the rinse your skin let your air dry with the skin. Prevent the skin infections involved in 3 simple steps. Frequent bathing. Take a full bath. Shower at least once every week when available. If showers, baths are not available, is washcloth daily. 2. Wash your genital areas, armpits, feet, and other areas of sweat in which become wet. These are including thighs for females, thighs and for females under breast. Use of perfume soap or feminine deodorants in the field can cause irritation and should not be used. Males should have facial hair and often enough to clean the shave and allow the tight fit of the protective mask. Use foot powder on the feet. This is especially important that if you had fungal infections in the past, use talcum powders for areas where wetness is a problem. If talcum powder is not available, use the cornstarch substitute. Change the clean clothing to a full bath. The shower, loose-fitting uniform allow to prevent ventilation of the blood and circulation. Wear proper clothing in the environment. Nylon, silk-type undergarments are not suitable, especially in hot weather. Cotton undergarments are absorbent. They allow the skin dry. Proper foot care before the movement includes following the steps. Wear foot gear that is proper type, correctly fitted and broken in. Wear socks that are free of holes and knotty darns. Use foot powder and clean socks. Protect blisters and proper spots, infections, and before moving. 2. Foot care during the environmental includes the following steps: keeping your feet as dry as possible, changing socks if possible when they become damp. Dry socks, putting them under the shirt or under your waist. Relieve your tender pressure spots on the foot, and adjusting your gear. Dusting your feet with foot powder once a day. Inspecting your feet and possible rest in periods. Wash your feet during the noon break if possible. Raise your feet if possible while resting to help reduce congestion. Take care of the blisters whenever the time permits. Wash blisters surrounding the areas in soap and water. See medical and painful blisters for signs of infection such as redness, throbbing, or drainage. Sprinkle foot powder in the socks to prevent absorbed moisture. Remove the inserts of the boots at night to prevent fungus from growing. If it gets the athlete's foot, seek medical attention. If you need an antifungal solution cream to treat it. Wear one pair of boots one day, change to the pair another next day. Use boot sock liners to the road marches greater than 5 kilometers or 3.1 miles in length to prevent blisters. Boot sock liners are military issued black dress socks worn underneath the military black boot socks. Waste disposal. Food waste disposal. Waste disposal, important element of protection soldiers' health in the field. Intestinal diseases are spread by the contact of infectious organisms that can spread. Flies and uncovered containers and available to keep them out. As pesticides prevent breeding flies. Use plastic bags in the event of dumpster type receptacles. Regular waste pickup. Bury your food waste immediately, and other options burning it and contract pickup are not available. Properly burn and bury the waste and help to prevent the spread of germs and flies or other insects. Bury the waste to always keep the unwanted animals from Bivik area. Human waste disposal. Intentional disease is usually spread from the contact of the infectious organism that can be spread in human waste. The method of use of disposal waste depends on the military situation of the unit. The location of waste disposal impacts the health of the unit, and personnel must not done correctly recommended in the methods of disposing human waste follows. The unit latrine will follow the deep when available. Deep pit for the extended field operations. Deep latrines are constructed by temporary camps intended for stays for more than 3 days. These types of latrines are found in the training areas based on the camps. These sometimes are excluded buildings. Sometimes they are enclosed by buildings. Dig a cat hole. Use of extrinsic waste in the unit in the movement. And the cat hole is 12 inches across, 6 inches wide, deep, and cover it sufficiently to prevent flies from spreading waste from your food or to keep unwanted animals from your area. On March, cover the cat hole from the dirt immediately after the use of straddle trench 1 and 3rd day of field operation. Screen the latrines or privacy. Dig 2 trenches per 100 males. Dig 3 trenches per 103 males. Use individual waste collections if available for the march. The convoys use a small group in an isolated area. It is important to seal the transportation of waste until it can be safely burned or buried. Waste collection may be effective on convoys where then safe to leave a main route. Remember to sanitize your hands and sanitize your hands, and any containers are reusable when appropriate. This pale latrine, burnout latrine is similar. Construct the chemical toilets that are not available. Old ground is too hard. The soil is very wet. Burn the latrine daily and add sufficiently fuel to incinerate the excrement. Moisture of 1 liter of gasoline, 4 liters of diesel fuel is effective. Most must be used with caution. If possible, have 2 sets of drums, one set while the other set is burned clean. The contents of the burn until they are dry and odorless. After any remaining ashes should be burned wastely daily, keeping the attracting pests. Oral hygiene. Good oral hygiene consists of 3 simple steps. Brushing your teeth after every meal. If possible, toothpaste helps, but if not necessary, use dental floss at least once a day. Rinse your mouth with potable water after brushing and brushing and flossing. This care may prevent gum disease, infection, tooth decay. Going into the dentist at least once a year for an examination treatment as needed can prevent serious problems. Preventing hearing loss to protect against the hearing loss is individual measures against noise hazards. Use of protective devices, earplugs, ear canal caps, earmuffs to reduce risk of noise-related hearing losses. Earmuffs should be worn over earplugs highly steady state noise level areas. Use vehicle headgear such as helicopter crew helmets or armored vehicle crew helmets when appropriate. Keeping hearing protection devices inserted in the ear canal. Cleaning to avoid the infections. Avoid noise. Limit to the noise hazard or only time necessary to perform the mission. Department of the Army policies. Smoking policy. A. DoD has a smoke-free workplace policy. B. The smoking Army has the same policy as the DoD. C. The program has been established for soldiers and families. Members to become tobacco free. 2. Effects of the tobacco use. Long-term health costs of the tobacco use. Heart disease leading to the risk of heart attack, contributes strokes and poor circulation due to diseased blood vessels, chronic lung disease, emphysema, bronchitis, cancer of the lung of the throat, mouth, bladder, positive cervix, osteoporosis, brittle bones, increase the risk of surgery, prolongs healing process, may decrease male fertility, affects the health of non-smokers. Second hand linked to the lung cancer as asthma attacks. Child is exposed to cigarette smoke may have mild ear or low respiratory infections. Smoking during the pregnancy associated with low birth weight and preterm birth may increase risk of sudden infant death and syndrome (SIDS), leading cause of death in the U.S. heart and blood vessel disease. 10. Leading preventable cause of death, tobacco use. Tobacco use is responsible for more than death and all over the cause of 450,000 deaths plus deaths a year, the equivalent of 2 fully loaded jumbo colliding in the midair each day with no survivors. Smokeless. Many people They believe tobacco is safer than smoking. When is well established smokeless tobacco, all types, chewing, snuff, and bandits, leads to development, heart disease, and various cancers, gum recession, bone loss around the teeth, cancers of mouth through appropriate deforming and deadly. Effective use of soldier performance, the health, increased number of sickness call visits, increased susceptible to use of respiratory infections, colds, and flus, which may progress to pneumonia, decrease readiness or decrease for night vision, decrease hand-eye coordination, decreases stamina, increases skull width or injuries, increases overall number of injuries, leads to addiction. Therefore, there are more smoking-related deaths every year than due to the deaths of illicit drugs, despite the fact that people know that tobacco is bad for their health, longevity, and want to give up. It is very difficult to do so. Physical and emotional dependence develops. Tobacco use is great with withdrawal symptoms are unpleasant. Often, tobacco's users feel jittery, irritable after a certain period of time without nicotine. These symptoms are withdrawal when needed. Some soldiers are who can alert and can concentrate on the task at the hand, who are team players. Not individuals are easily aggravated. Other people are stressful, strained situations due to the body reaction to not having tobacco. Army Regulation 663, Army Health Promotion. Smoking is prohibited on basic combat training. Smoking is prohibited in advanced initial training. Smoking is prohibited in all Army occupied workplaces. Resources available for the tobacco use cessation. Your doctor, non-nurse practitioner, physician, assistant, primary care provider, community health nurse, your healthcare provider may be available to prescribe medication to help you with cessation effort. The smoking cessation programs are usually sponsored by the health and care facilities, local preventive medicine services. Self-help materials are available at the medical treatment facility, and health care provided to preventive medical community health nurse. Various community agencies of the American Society Health Initiatives Department of Quitline available 24 hours a day. 1-877-937-7848. Local Public Health Department of offering training, counseling, free materials, and information. Using the bottom line is tobacco use detracts readiness. Use of tobacco affects the ability to function when you are in the field and deployed. To attract tactical hazards include the cigarette smokes can detect up to 300 meters downwind of the enemy. The flames can be detected by enemy snipers. There are possibility of starting a fire. The smoking can be hazardous to soldiers' health, even if there is a buddy who is smoking. Long-term is adverse effects of using tobacco can use the chronic disease, heart, lungs, cancer, strokes, high blood pressure. Short-term effects can also affect the performing of your mission. They include the enemy can find you with watering eyes, runny nose, coughiness, loss of smell and taste, increase the heart rate up to 30% more easily, fatigue, elevation of blood pressure of up to 15%, decreased appetite, diarrhea, constipation, and both reduced stamina.